Brown 45. Brown 45. Hot, 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 hot.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, American Football Australia head office, NFL Australia head office, and we're trending worldwide. Joining us in his newly renovated West Wing at Danny Webb, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm good, mate. Now that the tradies have all left, that's for sure.
What are we getting done? Are we getting an extension to the wing? We're going up? What are we doing?
Yeah, we're going up and out, just make this place as big as possible. Why not?
Yeah, why not? All right, that's what we're here for, mate. You can't take it with you, so you might as well spend it now. But massive Monday night double header. We're going to talk about those 2 games straight up, but there was a couple of surprises, I think, that came out of the game. The first game we're going to talk about, and the question I'm going to put to you, mate, the Bills, are they a lock for the Super Bowl? They're straight into it?
Mate, they're looking so much better than what we probably gave them credit for. Stephon Diggs leaving has almost freed up Josh Allen, so he's not really trying to feed this number 1 receiver anymore, and he's just kind of playing with so much more freedom. They absolutely dominated the Jags and pretty much got the whole thing done in the first half.
Yeah. 47-10, and at halftime it was, I don't know the box score. Yeah, pretty close. And they scored on pretty much every drive. So Josh Allen is absolutely on fire. He went for 263, and he rushed 44 the week we don't have him for rushing. We were extremely unlucky, which we will go through a little bit later with our bet. But on the flip side, what's going on with the Jags, mate? I reckon almost put lines through them for this season.
Yeah, Jags starting 0-3, not really good enough, especially with how much money Trevor Lawrence is getting paid. People are talking like, what's the worst contract going out there? Was it Daniel Jones? Is it Trevor Lawrence now? He's getting thrown into that mix, which anytime you're getting thrown into the mix with Daniel Jones, not a good thing.
Not ideal. Not ideal. The other game was a lot closer and a lot more exciting. 38-33, coming right down to the end. Jayden Daniels. He is. I sent you a message saying it's him, Daniels, and you had no idea what it meant. So that was really, really good. He's the man. 91.3% completion rate. Thoughts?
Yeah, so that's the highest ever done by a rookie. But just on the him Daniels thing, you have so many spelling mistakes in all your text messages. So sometimes it's hard to tell. I thought you were calling him Jim Daniels. I was like, Jim?
Yeah,
where are you getting that from?
It's him.
Jayden Daniels, welcome to the NFL. He's finally had his proper breakout game. Taking down the Bengals, that is huge. It's going to almost give him that sort of CJ Stroud bump, I reckon, from here on out. Wasn't the number 1 pick, went to the Commanders. Everyone kind of put him to one side. And I kept on saying, and I kept on saying to everyone who I ever talked to about it, if it wasn't for Caleb Williams, he'd have all the hype. He would be the hype guy. He would have been that number 1 pick for sure. And he's just absolutely going out there and proving his worth at that number 2 pick. But I reckon, wouldn't be surprised if Commanders keep on winning.
Yeah. So he went for 254, 2 touchdowns, rushed a touchdown himself. Scary Terry went for over 100. But I think that really sealed it for me was late in the game. They were struggling. They only had 10 on the field. There was a 3rd or 4th down. It was pretty crucial. They needed to score. Otherwise, it gave the Bengals a chance to come back and seal the game. They only just got the pass off. It was an absolute rabble before the snap. He just goes back, bang, hits McLaurin in the corner for a touchdown, game sealing, game over. But they had 10 on the field. It was an absolute rabble, and he was just cool, calm, collected, and got the job done.
Yeah, he seems to be playing with so much composure, especially as a rookie. He's playing with more composure than Bryce Young ever has and ever will. And Bryce Young was in his second year before he got benched.
Yeah. But even so, went to a 4th down. The camera pans straight to him, thinking, they're going to be off the field. He looked straight over to the coach, was like, nah, let's go for it. 4th down. End of late in the 4th quarter. Just we got it. Let's go. And did it easily. He is looking up and about, and I'm really excited to see how they're going. We're going to talk about them in a minute, but this week could be. They're leading the NFC East. It just blows your mind at the moment. Everyone written off they were gone. Austin Eckler did go down. It looks like he might be out this week, which will hurt. But yeah, they're leading the NFC East. It's crazy.
Yeah, so they're only leading on percentage. Let's not let that. Let's not let our
the fact that they're even up there, mate. Come on.
I had all my chips were on Jayden Daniels as far as rookies were concerned going into this season. Anyway, I think Caleb Williams probably had too much hype going around him, and he almost brought a little bit of drama to it. And he was going into a Chicago side that wasn't really that strong. Where last year the Commanders actually started to build on their side, and they've only made it better this year and brought him in. I think it's looking pretty good for the Commanders.
One thing before we move on to the next game, one thing you always love, a big man touchdown as well. So that was huge. Nice little off the end of the off the ruck. It was great. It was good to see.
I just love the way they dance. Like, because obviously all the wide receivers have got like set choreographed dances that they've been working on for ages. Then you get a big man in there, and all he does is just throw his weight around, hands up in the air.
That's how I dance. What do you mean?
Yeah, but you're rocking all of 5 foot flat.
Yeah. 4'9", mate. Calm down. Now, something that you messaged me after the Chiefs game, and I couldn't believe it. We had to put it, if we didn't have 2 games to talk about, this would have been the number 1 point. You have a hot take. I'm going to leave it to you, mate. You blew my mind when you told me this.
I blew your mind, but I reckon I've got you on board with it. I'm calling the Travis Kelce retirement year. He looks so doesn't look like he's interested in this game whatsoever at the moment. Every time he takes his helmet off on the bench, he's always kind of like looking up to the crowd, looking to see where T Swizzle is. I feel like his focus is kind of shifted from the NFL. If the Chiefs three-peat this year, I'd mark my word, like he's gone. He's out of here. He will follow Taylor Swift around on every single one of her eras, tours, doing whatever he wants to do. I feel like his head's just not in it.
Yeah, you did sell me on it, and yeah, he's 34, so he'll be 35 by the end of this season. Yeah, especially if they do three-peat, I would not be surprised. I reckon that's a little caveat. If they three-peat, he's definitely done. If they don't and they have maybe a shit back end of the season or something, which we can't say that they will.
I also think he looks at Big Brother, Kelce, who was like, you know what, we made it to the Super Bowl, I've got to come back for 1 year and prove that I can actually do it. And they weren't that great towards, got bounced by the Bucks. Yeah, got bounced by the Bucks in the playoffs. And then after that, straight away, it's like, no, I'm hanging up the boots. Like, this last year was a push.
And loving life. I don't know, have you seen him on Monday Night Football? Like, dancing in the crowd? Like, he's absolutely loving life at the moment, Jason Kelce.
So you put Jason Kelce in a room with Travis, who's already potentially having doubts about playing, and then you see how much fun he's having, how relaxed he is. Kelce doesn't really... Travis, sorry, we've got to be clear about this. Travis doesn't have that much left to prove. If he gets his three-peat, signed, sealed, delivered, he's out the door.
Yeah. And the one thing that I did see on the weekend that kind of made me think, oh, you might be right. There was a little bit of tension between him and Mahomes on the sidelines as well. Maybe it's because he's in this little bit of a funk. I don't know, but whatever his overs, unders are, I'd be hitting the unders this week.
And they're just not on the same page. There's a couple of times where Travis was open and didn't get hit. And then there was another time where he should have actually run further on as part of his slant and never actually got there. And that's where Mahomes passed the ball. Like, they've kind of lost that connection, and maybe it's all because of this. Maybe because there's a retirement on the cards.
One thing that I forgot even to put it in our run sheet, but I'm going to run with it now, so you don't have to actually speak to it. Derwin James has been suspended for this week. They're playing against the Chiefs. Now, Derwin James has been called the Kelce killer in the past, so maybe the fact that the biggest defensive back that Kelce has always ever run against from the Chargers, he's out for this week. It's like conduct unbecoming. He keeps really pushing the edge of the rules as far as, hitting players when they're unprotected and things like that. So he's been sent from the NFLPA a letter saying, you keep pushing the envelope, mate, we're going to suspend you for a week. So, yeah, the fact that Kelce's biggest nemesis on the defensive side of the ball is not there. Maybe he's overs this week. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. But the real stories we did have, 3-0. We're down to 5. Which of the 5 are you most surprised about, and how are they going to keep going? Like, when's the bubble going to burst for these 5?
So we've already touched on the Bills. Obviously, the Bills are 3-0. Chiefs, that was expected. I said that Mahomes is going to have an all-time year because he wants that three-peat more than anything. The Vikings and Steelers, massive surprise. I think, for both of them. Like, Justin Fields has just really settled into that role. And then the Vikings just can't help but win. Incredible. And then a little one that we probably haven't touched on anywhere near enough is what the Seahawks are doing. So as far as who I'm most surprised about, it's got to be the Steelers. Even though their defense was always going to hold them in the games, their offense has actually been relatively impressive as well. So I think the Steelers has got to be my number one.
Yeah, I'd be going with the Vikings as the biggest surprise. Like you said, we haven't given the Seahawks the kudos that they deserve. You know, DK Metcalf has been up and about. Geno Smith, always just Mr. Reliable. And their defense has been solid for 15 years. So that not surprising. Maybe that's why they've just kind of gone by the wayside. But they are leading, especially with the 49ers going 1-2 and these guys 3-0. The 49ers keep stumbling, you know, another loss here or there. Seahawks might have that division wrapped up already, which is huge 3 weeks in. But yeah, the Vikings, just with the moving on of Kirk Cousins and the obvious Sam Darnold coming up, not even being the number one before the start of week one. They're my biggest surprise because we just weren't sure what they were going to be able to prove, like what they were going to provide. So the fact that they are, but I reckon, not sure why, but I've got a feeling that their bubble might end this week. I don't know why.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
We might cover it soon. On the flip side, 0-3 teams, Titans, Jags, Bagels. I reckon I know who your biggest worry is, but who's your biggest worry?
Blonde Joey B. Maybe dye your hair back because it ain't working. The Bengals are in trouble. So since the Super Bowl era, only 6 teams have ever made the playoffs since starting 0-3. So obviously Joey's going to try and make this 7, but they're in trouble. Going up against that Commanders team, we both said, well, this is probably the one. Like, you know, the first 2, all right, we'll give it to them. They always start off slow. It's not the first time they started 0-2. But starting 0-3, we're getting to the pointy end now. If they drop this next game, their Super Bowl chances are done.
Well, they've got, so 0-3, you've got 14 games remaining. Realistically, you've got to win. You've got to go 10-4, 9-5 out of those. And that's just pressure on that you don't really need, I don't think. And Titans and Jags. Titans we're probably not so surprised about. They've still got young QBs and things to work out, although they were favourites this week against my Packers and got absolutely trounced. Jags, a little bit surprised, but then when you go over it and just how bad they've been, that's 8 of the last 9 they've lost. So, yeah, the Jags have got some hurt to try and get rid of, and they got to. I don't know what the Jags can do. At least with the Titans, you can see the upside where they're going. Bengals, they could flip it next week and they'd be back, but the Jags, they're my biggest worry because I just don't know about them. They're supposed to be good, but they suck.
The best thing about the Bengals this week is they're facing against the Panthers. If they can't get it done against the Panthers, sit Joey for the rest of the season.
Sit him. Bench.
Sit him.
That leads us straight into what to watch this week. Andy Dalton of the Panthers. Can he make it 2 in a row against the Bengals? Do you see them actually having a chance of winning this game?
Well, we gave Big Red the little first QB bump. He's still playing on not the best team. Like, I know we put a lot of pressure on Bryce Young to actually carry him and do a lot more than what he did, but they're still not the greatest team. Let's be honest. Going up against the Bengals, they need this win. They don't have another option. Their back's against the wall for this. And I think that's when they're actually really going to come out and shine.
So the only Adam Thielen has just gone on IR. I think it was a string that he's done a string, so he'll be out for the next 4 weeks as well. The Bengals are the worst scoring defense. They've had the most score against them. And the Bengals were they had the first team to lose this year with no punts and no turnovers. And they scored, 33 points. So realistically, a pretty good game from the offense to lose. So going in against the team that's given up the most points, Jamar Chase had a day out, had 2 touchdowns, got going again. So there's still a lot of positives for the Bengals. They just didn't win.
Yeah, and that's what they need to get, that killer instinct back. And the Bengals have had that in the past. Joey B's had it in the past. Joey B used to say that he loved getting sacked early so he can absolutely hit all his passes. He's got that in him. He just kind of needs a little an awakening. And if that means he's got to dye his hair, shave his head, do whatever, you got to do something, man, because you got to bring this team back. Because if you go down 0-4, bye-bye.
Yeah, definitely. 0-4, they're done. Maybe just a big bone-rattling sack, and that'll just get him up and about, get the juices going. Number 2 to watch this week, Washington. As we said, they're leading the NFC East, and they have a huge chance against Arizona to just extend that lead over you Birds.
Yeah, so let's say that Arizona are going to take this as well, because that also helps me. The fact that it is in Arizona, it gives them a bit more chance. We spoke about Kyle Murray and having that connection. He kind of looks a bit more fired up. I think this is going to be a great battle. This is actually probably going to be a game to watch. A lot of people would look at it and be like, Commanders, Cardinals, that's probably not the one. But as far as the slate's concerned this week, that's really high up there on my watch card.
Yeah, I just wanted to check. 61% of the cash is with Arizona, but who's favourites?
I reckon Arizona are 3-point favourites.
It's a terrible timing to find it. I can't find it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
3-point favourites. All right, sweet. You're happy with that? Yeah, so Arizona at home. That'd be why. I don't know. Washington, that was super impressive this week. If they can just keep backing it up. Jayden Daniels, he's... up and about 91% completion rate this week. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely going to be a good game to watch. Early slate. Yeah, I'll be keeping it across it. But I reckon their 3 points is probably about right. They're not going to get blown away. Their defense was super impressive as well. Even though they gave up 33 points, they were still making some plays. And anytime you get a big man touchdown in there, you're doing pretty well.
Gotta love it.
Caleb Williams coming up against the Rams. We did say that he has been super unimpressive so far, but he did have a big game this week. Threw for over 350, finally. Better than the 90 yards he started with. But they're playing against the Rams, who are the second worst points against so far this year. Panthers, they're only 4 points difference from the Panthers. So we're all saying how bad the Panthers are going, but the Rams, who we thought had a pretty solid defense, just keep leaking points week after week. Is this a chance for Caleb Williams to try and, build on that 350? I don't think he's thrown a passing, or has only thrown 1 or 2 passing touchdowns so far. So is this a week where he can really build on that and possibly steal a win against the Rams?
Yeah, he had a day out, didn't he, in week 3? Like, had an incredible amount of yards. A few of them were just absolute bombs and hoping for the best, and they actually kind of fell in his favour for once. With the sort of player that he is, I think that's actually going to feed him with a lot of confidence. The Rams are still heavily struggling. They got so many players injured. And like you said, the defense ain't great. Chicago playing at Soldier Field, it's going to give him a little bit more of a boost as well.
Favourites, $1.64 favourites.
Yeah, and I think the line's about 3 points again, 2.5, 3 points.
2.5, yep.
I don't hate that's where the money is. Unfortunately for the Rams, it just doesn't really seem like it's their year and they haven't really got it all together. Caleb Williams is overhyped at this point, but I'm sure he can prove us all wrong if he actually calms himself and, controls a little bit of those nerves.
The Rams are coming off beating the Niners.
They are.
Let's remember that. They've just knocked off one of the best teams, still one of the best teams in the league, even though they're...
Like, yes, the Rams beat the Niners, but did the Niners beat themselves a little bit?
They did, yeah, you're right. They did. They shouldn't have lost from where they were, but you still got to do it. And Matthew Stafford's still Matthew Stafford. He's still... I just saw a little clip of him. He was Tutu Atwell, and we said the other day how good he played. He dropped one. Next ball, straight to him. Dropped one he shouldn't have dropped. Next, straight to him. Took it, ran for 15, and he was in his ear. Look, mate, that's what we can do. That's what we can do. Went to the bench. It was in his O-line's face. Come on, boys, we can do it. Like, such a leader and such a man for the locker room kind of stuff that we always talk about. So, I don't know. I still think the Rams they're leaking points, but they've still got Matthew Stafford. Anytime that you've still got Matthew Stafford, I'm still going to be, I don't know. Maybe it's just my hate for Chicago and just be like, you boys are never going to be favourites. I will never lose to you kind of stuff. I look forward to when the Packers play them. But, yeah, I don't know. Don't write off the Rams too early. They did that's a massive locker room win, beating the Niners. Was it where was it? It wasn't in so far. Was it in for? Yeah. Yep. Beating the Niners. That's a huge win. So another game that you're like, wow, Caleb Williams could have a day out, but
yeah, but at the same time, is he ready? Is he ready to have the day out? It's like surely it's going to be a time where he absolutely turns it on. You know, I think the fact that they're playing at home, you got to give him more credit that he's going to be more comfortable. He hasn't had that long in the NFL, but that's where he spent the most amount of time. You know, you do all your training camp, all your practices, all that sort of stuff, and he's in that area. I think all of that combined will give him a bit more of a chance. Yes, the Rams did come off an excellent week 3. Have they burnt out a little bit, though, by using some of the players more than what they would have liked to? But it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, another one you're just like, well, I'll just keep my eye on that in the corner. If it turns nice, I might turn it on. The only thing I do hope that Caleb does suck a little bit so that our Aussie boy, Tory Taylor, gets plenty of punts because we love seeing the Aussies doing well. We've gone out a little bit early. Week 3, obviously super early. We're pretty close to a quarter way through the season. We've gone out early MVP predictions. You're going to go first, mate, and because I think mine's a little bit more outrageous than yours.
Yeah, so I actually have gone with one of the favourites out there, and Charlie, this one's for you, mate. I'm picking Josh Allen. So as I mentioned before, he's free from having that wide receiver 1 that he has to constantly feed with Diggs being out of there. He has been playing so well. In the previous week, in week 3, he went 23 from 30 and 263 yards with 4 touchdowns. All 4 of those touchdowns were in the first half. He really didn't have to go out there and do all that much in the second half. I think he only threw the ball twice. Throughout this year, he's had 12 touchdowns and 5 field goals on 24 drives. 0 interceptions and only 1 fumble loss, and that was on his very first drive. He hasn't given away the ball since his very first drive. He's tied favourite with Mahomes at $3.60, and I think rightfully so. If we're talking that they're potentially going to be, you know, knocking on the door of the Super Bowl or at least in the AFC Championship game, how can you not look to him as a MVP favourite? He said as well after the Jags game, he had in his interview, he's like, yep, next week I've got the 2-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was drafted like 32 or something like that, and Josh Allen was drafted 7th, I think. It was close-ish. So Josh Allen wants that respect. He wants this award as much as he wants to lead his team to the Super Bowl because he feels like he hasn't had that respect put on his name. Everyone out there has been, I think I've voted as like the most overrated QB recently this year. And then he's just come out and absolutely dominated it. I think he listens to all this and it just gives him more and more fuel. So I think he's going to, as long as he keeps on charging the way he is, he's going to be a hard person to beat for the MVP.
Yep. Yeah, no, you've gone out there and you've picked the favourite. It's good. You make a great point. I think one thing about him this year, it seems to be, and I was talking with Charlie the other day, I don't know, previously it kind of seemed a little bit, it was about Josh Allen, like what can he do to make the team better kind of thing, where this year it feels like he's kind of spread the load. You know, it's not all about him. He doesn't have to rush for 100 and throw for 300 each game. He's been doing that, but it just feels like you said, there's no wide receiver 1, so the pressure's just kind of been taken off him, it feels like, which is a bit weird. So, yeah, good selection. I like it. We'll $3.60. We might put a $5 on it. That's all you're going to get out of me. But I'm putting 100 on this one, especially if he keeps going the way he's going. My one's Sam Darnold, which, like I said, a little bit out there. But when I was looking through, when you put this to me to do, and I was looking through, and I thought, all right, let's have a look. So he was the backup right up until week 1 where JJ McCarthy hurt himself. Like everyone, it was a QB battle. They were going with JJ McCarthy 100%. So until he went down, he was a backup QB. Since then, 3-0, 2 wins against some really, really good side. They beat the Giants, I think, week 1. That's fine. Niners and then Houston this week. He's leading the league with 8 touchdowns, 6 of those in the red zone, and only 1 incomplete pass in the red zone so far. So he's on track for 45 TDs and nearly 4,000 yards. His career rating, quarterback rating, is 79. This season so far, 117. And he's even better, 11th in the betting at $26. So getting a little bit of juice out of him. So I don't know. When I just the team that he's got, yes, I know he's got JJ. He does have a wide receiver one. But just the team that was nowhere to start with, and the way he's been able to build, and he's come from, he's played for 3 teams. San Fran, not really, but the other 2 teams are Giants and Panthers. Both suck. Jets and Panthers both suck. So, yeah, put him in a good team, good system, good coach. Yeah, I don't know, Sam Darnold at $26, just a little bit juicier than your $3.60, right?
Mate, I am just so proud of you that you have picked a QB that's in the NFC North.
Yeah, it's only because Jordan Love's down. I can't pick him.
Like that. This is amazing. Like, look at your progress.
Yeah,
You're all grown up.
I just don't like I least like the Bears. I don't hate the Vikings. I like them a little bit more than I hate the Bears.
Perfect, mate. I actually like this pick. I know, like at $26, it'd be hard not to throw a tenner on it. If they keep on tracking the way that they are, and they, like I said, they've surprised me week after week. And Sam Darnold has done exactly what you are saying. Like, he's just gone in there and just took it all on his shoulder. Like, how can you? He's hard to bet against.
The only thing is, like I said, I think his bubble might burst this week. Coming against the number 1 defense in the Packers, which we're going to talk about right now. We've got 2 games that we picked, and you actually picked this game. I picked the game of the week. So I went the easy pick this week, but I said, what other game we're going to talk about? You said Vikings-Packers, NFC North, huge game. We've got a 3-0 Vikings against the 2-1 Packers. Jordan Love still day-to-day. We don't know if he's coming back. It's in Green Bay. The Packers are 2.5 favourites, and 56% of the money is with the Packers at $1.70 for money line. What are your thoughts, mate? We've got a few stats up there. What do you want to run through? You pick this game, so you can run through them.
Yeah, so anytime that it's in Lambeau Field, you can't be surprised that most of the money is going to be on the Packers, and the Packers are going to be the favourites. The Packers are first.
Yeah, I wrote it down, so I'll go through it. The Packers are first. The Vikings are second in interceptions. We've got 7 for the year. They've got 5. So first and second in the backfield. Vikings, though, they're number 1 with sacks. The Packers are number 1 in rushing. So, again, a big front line against the number 1 rushing team. And a few things that I like. Aaron Jones returning to Lambeau. So, I wouldn't hate him for an any time because he loves playing at Lambeau, and it's a bit of a revenge game. So, yeah, I don't hate him for an anytime touchdown.
Yeah, like, you've got to hit that. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the Vikings actually shape up here, especially going into Lambeau. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight, and it's going to be juicy. I love the storyline of Aaron Jones coming back to Lambeau because realistically you want to hold on to him, and the fact that he left and went somewhere in his own division was great. So I love that storyline. Yeah,
but he'll be dirty. We let him go as well. So a day out for him. I reckon this will be a day for the rushers. Josh Jacobs is going to have a day out as well against the Vikings, even though they have a big O-line that are number 1 for sacks. I can't pick this game because we know I'm picking Packers by 50. Who do you think's actually going to win, mate?
Honestly, I want to see the Vikings go 4-0.
All right, I'll just cut that out. We don't need this kind of negativity on my podcast, mate. What are you doing? Fair enough. I'm a bit surprised. Like you said, it's in Lambeau, and we are playing all right, but I would have had the Vikings as favourites. Just the way they've won and who they've won against. And it all depends. Like I said, Love's still day-to-day, but Darnold copped a knock late in the third and ended up being a bruised knee. He's structurally fine, but a bruised knee can be quite painful to play on. So just keep an eye on that one. And I think that we've got the number 1 safety cornerback duo. So I know they've got JJ, but he's there number 1 by an absolute country mile. But I reckon we can keep him quiet. And if we do that, we go a long way to winning.
Oh, for sure. And the thing is, as well, something you're not giving the Packers credit for is how well Malik Willis has actually kind of stepped in there and played. As soon as Love went down, I'm like, you got to sign someone else. Malik Willis in the last game, he did it in the air and did it on his feet. So he's still got that as a massive option as well if Love doesn't come back. And the fact that you are winning with Malik Willis, why rush Love back?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That gives us the freedom to be like, if you're not, 90, 95%, because no one's 100%. If you're not 95, we're not rushing you back. The second game, Bills at Ravens. Ravens 2.5%. 2.5%. 2.5-point favourites, which a bit of a surprise, but again, maybe because it's in Ravens in Baltimore. 43% of the money is with the Ravens while they're favourites. So people are taking the Bills at just over $2 or something they are. Allen is in MVP form. We've already picked him. You've picked him for the win. Bills, they're number 1 points per game, and the Ravens are allowing 26.6 points per game, which is high for those that don't know. That is a lot of points to give up. But the Ravens have a league high 946 yards against. So Allen for passing yards could be big this week for those betting at home. Bills are only giving up 5 yards per pass attempt and only 3 passing touchdowns. So their cornerback safety duo again and their DBs have been real solid this year. But Lamar's also leading the league in QBs for rushing yards with 245. And Henry coming off a 151-yard, 2-touchdown game, I'd be leaning towards those boys kind of having a big game in their legs. What are your thoughts with those kind of stats I just spewed up at you, mate?
So I am going with everyone else of where they're putting their money. I think, as I mentioned before, with Josh Allen, he is just hungry and wants to prove it. He's already called out Lamar about being a 2-time MVP, and that's who they're playing next. I reckon he would have had this game marked on his calendar for quite some time. The fact that, the Ravens are 2.5 favorites, the two-headed duo is always going to be a worry with Lamar and King Henry coming at you. But I think with the way Josh Allen's playing at the moment, he's going to be hard to bet against.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'll let you pick after. So are you picking the Bills?
Picking the Bills.
Yeah. I'm going to pick the Bills with the 2.5 because I reckon it's going to be high scoring, but it'll be tight. It'll be blow for blow. I don't think we're going to see many punts this week. M&T Bank Stadium, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's a dome. That'd be good to know. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be many punts. I reckon it's going to be points, whether it's field goals or touchdowns. There'll be points galore. Whatever the over's in, which will be 45, 48, something like that. Smash them. It's going to hit that probably before halftime. This is going to be an absolute game. Game of the week, Monday Night Football as well. So that's Sunday Night Football as well. So that's huge. Monday night for us. So I wasn't wrong. But yeah, great game, and the schedule makers have put this one right at a bloody good time, I reckon.
They know how to pick them.
All right. This week, I said we're going to talk about our punting. We were very, very stiff. Make sure you follow us on the Sportsbet feed, Any Given Sunday AU podcast. We actually won a bet, Danny. I don't know if you know this. The bet we had last week in the... which game was it? Oh, what are the two games? It wasn't the Cincy game. What was the other game? That game. Yeah. Anyway, we had it. We had the win. Josh Cook. It was the Bills games. James Cook got his 40 yards rushing, which was us. Green tick. We'd had all the Bills were going to win. Allen for overs. We had everything. And then they rushed James Cook again. He lost a yard, went down to 39. They went timeout, pulled the starters. We lose. So we actually won. So don't jump off us just yet, even though it officially was a loss. We've got an interesting game. Cowboys-Giants. It was actually harder to bet on than we thought as we were sitting here trying to work out what we're going to do. But we're going to rush through this, and this is a win. We're not going to go safe anymore because we're not winning it anyway. So we might as well juice it up and actually win some cash. I think Prescott's going to have an absolute day out. So I'm going to smash him over 225, even though we're not keeping it safe. We're keeping that safe. But he's going to hit CD Lamb. He's his favourite receiver, over 50 comfortably. Ferguson had 6 receptions last week. So we'll have that, keep it pretty safe. 3 receptions for him. He loves hitting his tight end. But because he's going to have a day out, we're going to hit his overs of passing touchdown because it was 1.5. He's going to have 2 or 3 touchdowns comfortably. But we did think that we needed to throw in a couple of Giants. So what are your Giants legs, mate?
Yeah, so you got Michael Parsons on the defense. He's going to be pressuring Daniel Jones left, right, and center. So I think it's going to force him to scramble and actually run a little bit more than what he did last week. So I reckon let's chuck him in for 25 plus rushing yards. And Malik Neighbors, he has been his favorite target by far. His over-unders is 6.5. I reckon we'll just smash that straight in the overs.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors, 12 receptions and 10 receptions in the last 2 weeks. So that's 6.5 unders overs. It looks very, very juicy, especially with the Cowboys defense just struggling a little bit. That's going to give us 6 legs for $8.50, mate. Like we said, we're going to win some cash this week. So jump on. Don't forget, Any Given Sunday, AU podcast on the Sportsbet feed. It's going to be a week. The Packers are going to get another W. The Birds will play pretty well. We'll see what happens, but enjoy it, mate.
Let's go.